What drives a man the first moment he sees a woman? Is it love, or is it something else, something far more primal? The truth is uncomfortable. The truth is not dressed in sweet poetry. The truth is this: most men, when they first encounter a woman, do not love her. They lust after her. And this is not a judgment. It is a fact written into the biology of mankind, a fact that society often tries to ignore. But ignoring truth never protects you. It only blinds you to reality. If you've ever wondered why men so often chase beauty before character, why their eyes light up at the sight of a face or a body long before their heart learns who that person truly is, this is the answer. Men are pulled by desire before they are grounded in devotion. It is not love at first sight, but lust at first sight. Love takes time. Love requires sacrifice. Lust only requires an instant. Now, you may be asking yourself, why does this matter? Why should anyone care about the difference? Because when you confuse the two, you pay a price, a heavy price. Families fall apart. Trust is broken. Women give their hearts to men who were only ever hungry for their bodies. And men, too, fall into a cycle of emptiness, chasing momentary pleasures, but never building something that lasts. But here is where the story changes, because the fact that lust comes first does not mean love cannot follow. In fact, the journey from lust to love is one of the greatest transformations a man can make. And understanding this truth is not just important, it is necessary. Necessary for women to guard their hearts, and necessary for men to master their own nature. Stay with me until the end of this video, because if you do, you will discover the truth most people never hear. You will learn the hidden pattern behind attraction and love, the difference between shallow desire and deep connection, and how to see through illusions that destroy relationships. By the time you finish listening, you will not only understand men better, you will understand yourself better. And that knowledge is a power that can save you from heartbreak and give you the wisdom to build real love that lasts. Think about it. How many people today are lost in relationships that feel hollow? How many are trapped in cycles of attraction that start fast, burn bright, but then collapse into ashes? The reason is simple. They mistake lust for love. They trust intensity instead of integrity. They trust chemistry instead of character. And the tragedy is that no one teaches us the difference. Society tells you to follow your feelings, but feelings are fleeting. Society tells you passion is enough, but passion without discipline is destruction. That's why this truth must be spoken, no matter how uncomfortable it feels. Men lust first. It does not make them monsters. It makes them human. But the responsibility falls on both men and women to see clearly, to not let lust masquerade as love. Because if you cannot tell them apart, you will give your soul away to someone who never planned to keep it. This is why I want you to pay close attention, to hold on until the very end. Because what you hear today could be the difference between building a life filled with depth or wasting years chasing illusions. You see, wisdom always feels like a reward, but only for those who are willing to stay long enough to receive it. So if you keep listening, you will walk away with clarity that others spend a lifetime searching for. Here is what you must understand. Lust is not love. Lust is appetite. Lust is the hunger of the body. Love, however, is the commitment of the soul. Lust is impatient. Love is patient. Lust wants to take. Love wants to give. Lust burns quickly. Love burns slowly but lasts forever. And if you confuse the two, you will live in constant disappointment, wondering why people never live up to your hopes. Men are often pulled by lust first because biology wired them that way. But here is the deeper truth. You are not defined by your biology. You are not a slave to instinct. A man who learns to move past lust into genuine love becomes something more than his impulses. He becomes a man of strength, discipline, and depth. And for women, recognizing this difference is not weakness, it is power. It is the shield that keeps them safe and the wisdom that helps them choose a man not just for his desire, but for his devotion. So stay with me. Let your mind open. Let the truth sink in. Because as we move deeper into this message, you will see not only why men lust first, but also how love is born afterward, and how both men and women can use this knowledge to build relationships that are stronger, purer, and unshakable. The reward of truth is freedom, and the freedom you will gain from hearing this to the end will save you from the traps of modern love, where lust is glorified, but love is forgotten. And that freedom will remind you of something far greater, that though lust may come first, It is love that will always last. Desire is one of the strongest forces inside the human heart. It moves people before they even realize what is happening. It is the invisible current that shapes the first glance, the first thought, the first pull of attraction. When a man sees a woman, the first spark is almost always physical. His eyes capture beauty, his mind registers desire, and his body responds. This is not romance. This is not yet love. It is instinct, but instinct is not destiny. Instinct is only the beginning. Think of desire as a flame. It burns quickly, but it can either fade into smoke or be tended until it becomes a steady fire. What determines the outcome is not the strength of the spark, but the discipline of the one holding it. Without direction, desire is dangerous. With direction, it becomes the seed of love. Here lies the difference. Lust is automatic. Love is intentional. Lust comes without effort, but love requires effort every single day. Psychology shows us that human beings are wired for survival. That means men are naturally drawn to signs of beauty, youth, and health, because on a primal level, these signal life. Yet survival is not enough. We are not animals living only to consume. We are beings capable of meaning, sacrifice, and devotion. That is why lust alone can never satisfy the soul. Look around at the world today, and you will see the proof. How many men chase one desire after another, believing the next woman, the next body, the next night will finally fulfill them. But what happens? The emptiness only grows, because no matter how many times lust is fed, it never says enough. Lust is hunger without satisfaction. Love is fulfillment without hunger. This is the nature of desire. It begins in the body, but it must rise to the level of the soul. A man who never learns this truth is doomed to repeat the same cycle over and over, excited in the beginning, bored in the middle, restless at the end. His life becomes a chain of broken promises and wasted years. But a man who sees beyond desire begins to transform. He realizes that the body may draw him close, but it is the heart and mind that keep him there. Women, too, must understand this truth clearly. When a man's desire is directed only toward the physical, it will fade as quickly as it appeared. That is why the earliest stage of attraction should never be mistaken for love. If he is only present when passion is high, but disappears when sacrifice is required, then his desire has not matured. True love is not measured by how quickly it begins, but by how long it can endure. Think of the greatest relationships you know. Lasting marriages, deep partnerships, bonds that stand the test of decades. They did not begin and end with desire. They began with desire, yes, but they transformed into something higher. They became partnerships built on trust, loyalty, and shared struggle. This is what turns fleeting attraction into enduring love. Here is a truth that pierces deeply. Lust makes you chase pleasure, but love makes you build meaning. Pleasure fades, meaning lasts. And in the end, human beings cannot live on pleasure alone. Without meaning, pleasure becomes poison. Without discipline, desire becomes destruction. But when discipline enters, when meaning is chosen, desire is no longer the enemy. It becomes the doorway to love. This is why patience matters. This is why boundaries matter. Because desire tests both men and women. For men, it is the test of discipline. Can they control their instincts long enough to see the person behind the beauty? For women, it is the test of discernment. Can they recognize the difference between a man enslaved by lust and a man strong enough to turn lust into love? The nature of desire will always be the same. It begins with the physical, but the outcome is never predetermined. That is where character steps in. A shallow man will stop at lust. A strong man will rise into love. And the difference between the two is not measured by words, but by actions, by patience, by consistency, by sacrifice. You cannot stop desire from appearing. It is written into the human condition, but you can decide what you do with it. That choice separates those who remain empty from those who build lives full of meaning. The truth is simple. Lust is the starting point, not the destination. And until you see that clearly, you will always mistake the spark for the fire, the illusion for the truth. Remember this, the body begins the story, but the soul finishes it. Desire can open the door, but only love can build a home. Lust is powerful because it feels real, it feels urgent, it feels alive. In the moment, it convinces you that nothing else matters, that what you are feeling is the truth. But here is the danger. Lust creates an illusion. It promises fulfillment but delivers emptiness. It promises connection, but gives only temporary pleasure. It looks like love, it speaks like love, but when tested, it collapses like a shadow in the light. This is why so many people confuse lust with love. Lust is intense. Lust is exciting. Lust makes your heart race and your thoughts spin. But intensity is not the same as intimacy. A fire that burns too quickly cannot keep you warm for long. The illusion of lust is that it feels eternal in the moment, but it dies the second reality arrives. Psychology teaches us that the brain responds to lust like an addiction. Dopamine surges, the reward system lights up, and the mind becomes consumed with desire. This chemical high tricks you into believing you are in love. But just like any high, it wears off. And when it does, what is left? Emptiness, disappointment, confusion. People walk away from each other wondering what went wrong, never realizing they built their bond on something that could never last. The illusion is not only dangerous for individuals, it is dangerous for society. When lust is mistaken for love, relationships break apart, families crumble, and trust between men and women is destroyed. Look at the world around you. How many hearts are shattered because someone mistook passion for commitment? How many promises are broken because the foundation was never love, only desire? The illusion of lust blinds people. It makes them ignore red flags. It makes them believe words without demanding actions. It makes them trust intensity over integrity. And the cost of that blindness is always pain. Pain for women who give their hearts to men who were never capable of love. Pain for men who waste their strength chasing desires that leave them hollow. Pain for children who grow up in homes built on temporary attraction instead of lasting devotion. This illusion is powerful because it appeals to our deepest cravings. Everyone wants to feel wanted. Everyone wants to feel chosen. Lust provides that feeling instantly, without work, without patience, without sacrifice. But what comes quickly often disappears just as quickly. Real love requires time, and because lust imitates love, many never wait long enough to tell the difference. Think about it. When someone truly loves you, they stay even when the passion cools. They fight for you even when life gets hard. They sacrifice their comfort for your growth. That is love. But when someone is driven only by lust, they vanish when the excitement fades. They leave when the fire is no longer raging. That is why you must never confuse lust with love. Lust is loud, love is steady. Lust is selfish, love is selfless. Lust takes, love gives. The illusion of lust thrives in silence. If you never question it, it will control you. But once you see it clearly, the spell is broken. Once you understand that not every surge of passion is love, you gain power. You gain clarity. You stop giving yourself away to people who cannot value you. You stop chasing relationships that were doomed from the start. Men must understand this illusion in themselves. Women must recognize it in others. Because clarity is freedom. And freedom is the first step toward building something real. When you know lust for what it is, you stop being deceived by its false promises. You begin to demand more, not just passion, but patience, not just desire, but devotion, not just words, but action. The tragedy is that many never learn this lesson until it is too late. They give years to people who are never capable of loving them. They sacrifice their hearts to relationships built on sand. They wake up one day realizing that the fire that felt so eternal was only smoke. But wisdom can save you from this. Seeing through the illusion of lust can protect your heart, protect your future, and protect your ability to love deeply. Remember this truth. Lust looks like love in the beginning, but only love looks like love in the end. You must not be blinded by intensity. You must not be fooled by hunger. The test of love is not how fast it starts, but how long it lasts. The illusion of lust will always whisper that you have found something real, but reality will always reveal the truth. If you want a love that lasts, you must learn to see beyond the illusion, because lust is only the mask. Love is the reality. And those who cannot see the difference will forever mistake the mask for the truth and live their lives wondering why fulfillment never comes. To understand why lust appears before love, you must understand the psychology of men. Men are not simply creatures of desire, they are creatures of vision. From the very beginning, men are wired to respond to what they see. Attraction starts with the eyes. The mind records beauty before it ever considers character. This is not weakness, this is design. But design without discipline becomes destruction. When a man looks at a woman, his biology speaks first. It tells him she is beautiful, she is desirable, she awakens something within him. But here is the danger. If a man never moves beyond that first signal, he will stay trapped in a shallow cycle of attraction. His relationships will be built on surface impulses, never on depth, never on truth. This is why so many men struggle to hold on to love. They never allow themselves to move past the first stage. The male brain is wired for quick recognition, for decisive action, for chasing what appears rewarding. This is why lust feels so immediate, so powerful, so convincing. But love is not immediate. Love is slow, deliberate, earned over time. And this is where men face their greatest test, not in feeling desire, but in controlling it long enough to discover who a woman truly is. Psychology shows us that men experience stronger visual triggers than women. Images, appearances, physical signs, these drive the initial spark. But it is not the spark that determines the worth of a man. It is how he handles it. A boy obeys every impulse. A man learns to master his impulses. And mastery is what separates lust from love. This is the inner battle of men. On one side is biology, pushing him toward desire. On the other side is discipline, calling him toward patience. If he listens only to biology, he will take without building, chase without committing, and leave without caring. But if he listens to discipline, he will learn to see more than beauty. He will see character. He will see virtue. He will see the heart. Many men today have never been taught this discipline. They are trained by society to consume, to chase endless pleasure, to believe that manhood is measured by conquest. But this is a lie. True manhood is not measured by how many women a man can pursue. It is measured by how deeply he can love one woman with loyalty, with respect, with consistency. That requires strength greater than desire. It requires self-control greater than instinct. For women, understanding this psychology is protection. When you realize that men are driven first by what they see, you learn not to mistake their attention for their devotion. A man's eyes may be quick to notice you, but his character will reveal if he is capable of loving you. His initial pursuit may feel flattering, but it is his patience that proves his intentions. Men who never learn to rise above lust remain boys in grown bodies. They are trapped in cycles of desire, never building, never lasting, never giving. They live for moments but lose lifetimes. But men who confront their nature, who discipline their vision, who choose to value a woman beyond her appearance, those men are rare, and those men are worthy of love. The psychology of men is not an excuse, it is an explanation. It shows why lust is natural, but it also shows why discipline is necessary. Nature begins the story, but choice decides how it ends. Every man carries within him the ability to love deeply, but only if he learns to rise above the illusion of desire and enter the reality of devotion. This is why wisdom matters. This is why patience matters. Because women who understand this will not fall for shallow charm, and men who practice this will not waste their lives in meaningless pursuits. The psychology of men explains the beginning, but it does not excuse the ending. A man may lust first, but he must choose to love later. That choice is what defines him. Remember this, men are wired to see, but they are also capable of more. The eyes may begin the story, but the heart has the power to finish it. Lust may call loudly, but discipline speaks with greater strength. And the man who listens to discipline becomes not just a lover, but a builder of love that endures. If the psychology of men begins with what they see, then the power of women begins with what they choose. Choice is the shield and the sword of women. It is the silent strength that decides which men rise and which men remain trapped in their own lust. Because while men may be driven by instinct at first, it is the boundaries set by women that separate love from illusion. A woman's choice is not a small thing. It is destiny shaping itself. When a woman says yes too quickly to a man ruled only by lust, she hands over her heart to someone who will not protect it. But when she stands firm, when she sets boundaries, when she requires more than words, she transforms the path of the relationship. She forces a man to reveal who he really is, whether he is only chasing desire or if he is ready to grow into love. This is not about manipulation, and it is not about playing games. It is about wisdom. It is about understanding that attraction alone is never enough. A man who truly wants love will prove himself through patience, consistency, and sacrifice. A man who only wants pleasure will disappear the moment boundaries demand discipline. And that disappearance is not a loss. it is protection. Because rejection from the wrong man is always protection for the right one. Women often underestimate the weight of their choice. They believe they must wait to be chosen, but the truth is far deeper. Men pursue, but women decide who is worthy of being received. This decision is not just about romance. It is about the future. It is about family. It is about building a life that will not collapse under the weight of shallow attraction. A man may be ruled by his instincts, but his instincts will never control a wise woman. A wise woman sees beyond charm, beyond passion, beyond words whispered in the heat of desire. She looks for consistency. She watches for character. She waits for actions that align with promises. That patience is not weakness, it is power. It filters out the shallow and leaves only the strong. Consider this truth. A man who is willing to wait is a man capable of love. If his interest is real, it will not fade when faced with discipline. If his intentions are pure, he will not run when boundaries appear. Instead, he will rise to meet the standard. He will prove that his desire is more than appetite, it is devotion. But if he leaves, then he was never meant to stay. This is why choice is sacred. Every yes a woman gives shapes the direction of her life. Every no she speaks protects her from roads that lead to heartbreak. And when she chooses wisely, she not only protects herself, she shapes the man before her, because men rise to the standard that women set. If the standard is low, they remain shallow. If the standard is high, they are forced to grow, to discipline themselves, to become men worthy of love. The world often tells women to settle for attention, to mistake desire for devotion, to accept whatever they are given. But attention is not love. Desire is not commitment, and accepting less than respect always leads to pain. The power of choice is not about rejecting men. It is about demanding truth. It is about protecting your worth until someone proves they can value it. Men must be tested because without testing, their love cannot be trusted. A man who disappears when challenged was never going to stay. A man who remains when boundaries are clear is a man who understands the difference between lust and love. That patience, that consistency, that willingness to wait, that is the mark of true character. And it is a woman's choice that reveals it. So never forget this, your choice carries the weight of your future. You are not powerless. You are not waiting for someone else to decide your worth. You are the gatekeeper of your own heart. And the boundaries you set are not walls to keep out love. They are filters that allow only love to remain. A man may lust first, but whether that lust grows into love often depends on the choices of the woman he pursues. If she requires more, he must rise to give more. If she requires nothing, he will give nothing. Choice is power, and that power shapes destiny. Remember this truth. A man reveals his character through his pursuit, but a woman reveals her wisdom through her choice. And when wisdom meets character, lust transforms into love, and relationships are built not on illusion, but on unshakable truth. Lust may be the beginning, but it was never meant to be the end. It is only the spark, not the fire. It is only the first chapter, not the story itself. What truly matters is whether that spark is allowed to grow into something deeper, whether lust can transform into love. And that transformation is not automatic. It is tested, it is refined, it is proven over time. When lust first appears, it is about the body. It is about attraction, excitement, and desire. But if it remains only at that level, it quickly fades. What makes it powerful is when a man chooses to rise above instinct and allow his desire to deepen into devotion. Lust takes, love gives. Lust consumes, love builds. The moment lust is guided by patience, respect, and sacrifice, it begins to change its nature. It no longer controls. It becomes the foundation for something far greater. Love is not born in the heat of passion. It is born in the cold moments of choice, when someone stays even when it is hard, when someone sacrifices their comfort for your good, when someone chooses you again and again, not because of excitement, but because of commitment. That is when lust transforms into love, when the fire of passion is joined by the strength of loyalty. Time is the great revealer. A man who desires only lust will grow restless when the initial excitement fades. He will seek a new spark, a new body, a new thrill. But a man who is capable of love will remain. He will endure the seasons, not just the summer. He will prove that his attraction is not shallow, but rooted in something that cannot be shaken by time or trials. And here is the beauty of it. When lust matures into love, passion does not disappear. In fact, it becomes stronger. because it is no longer temporary. It is anchored. It is stable. It is no longer just a hunger of the body. It is a connection of the soul. That is why couples who truly love each other can outlast storms, disappointments, and even years of struggle. Their bond is not fragile because it is not built on illusion. This transformation happens only through action. Words are easy. Promises are cheap. But love is proven through consistency. A man who shows up day after day, even when the passion is quiet, proves that his love is real. A woman who chooses loyalty when life tests her heart proves that her devotion is deep. Together, they demonstrate that love is not a fleeting emotion. It is a decision lived out through sacrifice. Think of the strongest relationships you have ever witnessed. They are not perfect. They are not without flaws or struggles, but they endure because both people learn to rise above the shallow stage of lust. They turned attraction into admiration, passion into patience, desire into devotion. And that transformation created something unbreakable. The truth is simple, but hard to live. Lust may open the door, but only love builds the home. And love cannot exist without respect, without patience, without discipline. That is why boundaries are so important in the beginning. They are not barriers to love, but the very training ground where lust is forced to either die or transform. A man who cannot wait cannot love. A woman who accepts impatience will not find love. But when both learn patience, lust is refined into something enduring. Lust says, I want you now. Love says, I want you always. Lust is impatient. Love is timeless. Lust burns bright and fades quickly. Love burns steady and lasts forever. And only those who understand this difference will ever experience the depth of true connection. This transformation is not easy. It demands self-control, honesty, and sacrifice. It demands that men rise above their instincts and that women protect their hearts with wisdom. But the reward is worth it, because when lust becomes love, the relationship is no longer fragile. It is unshakable. It can face trials, betrayals, struggles, and still survive. Because it was never built only on desire, it was built on devotion. Remember this, lust may come first, but it is not the enemy. It is the test. It is the spark asking the question, will this burn out or will this endure? The answer depends on character. The answer depends on patience. The answer depends on whether both hearts are willing to rise above appetite and choose commitment. When lust transforms into love, the temporary becomes eternal. And in that transformation lies the secret of lasting relationships. Passion may start the journey, but only love will carry it to the end. When lust is mistaken for love, the consequences are far greater than a broken heart. The cost is measured not just in moments of disappointment, but in the years wasted, the trust shattered, and the opportunities for genuine connection that are forever lost. People enter relationships thinking that desire is enough, only to discover that intensity cannot sustain a life together. Lust gives the illusion of connection, but it never teaches loyalty, patience, or commitment. Imagine a man who pursues a woman purely out of attraction. His words may be charming, his presence may be magnetic, and for a time, everything feels perfect. But soon, the excitement begins to fade. His attention wanes, his promises remain unfulfilled, and the woman is left wondering what went wrong. The answer is always the same. He never loved her. He only desired her. The illusion dissolved the moment it was tested. The cost of this confusion is not one-sided. Men, too, suffer. A man driven only by lust is never satisfied. He chases one desire after another, believing that the next body, the next glance, or the next thrill will finally fill the emptiness inside. But the emptiness only grows. Lust cannot nourish the soul. It cannot build trust. It cannot create a bond that withstands the storms of life. Without love, every pursuit leaves a man emptier than before. Trust is the first casualty. Once lust masquerades as love, honesty begins to crumble. Promises are made but not kept. Words are whispered but not lived. The foundation of the relationship is built on deception, even if the deception is unconscious. When reality arrives, when life demands sacrifice, the truth becomes clear. The relationship was never real. And once trust is broken, it takes years or sometimes a lifetime to rebuild. Emotional pain is inevitable. When a woman gives her heart to a man who is never capable of love, she experiences heartbreak that goes beyond sadness. She questions her worth. She doubts her judgment. She wonders if true love even exists. And the man, too, feels the consequences, guilt, regret, and the realization that Chasing lust has left him unable to form the deep connection he truly desires. Both are trapped in cycles of disappointment that could have been avoided with patience and wisdom. Society often glorifies lust, making it seem glamorous or harmless, but the hidden cost is invisible until it is too late. Relationships built on desire alone crumble under stress, temptation, and the inevitable fade of initial excitement. Children raised in homes built on attraction rather than devotion inherit confusion, instability, and a model of love that is shallow and fleeting. The cost is generational, extending far beyond the immediate heartache. Time itself becomes a casualty. People spend years in relationships that cannot last, believing that passion is enough. Every year wasted in the illusion of lust is a year stolen from the chance to build something real. The longer the confusion persists, the harder it becomes to break the cycle. The price is measured not just in heartbreak, but in the lost potential of what could have been true connection, deep intimacy, and enduring happiness. The cost of confusing lust for love also lies in the personal growth that is stunted. Love demands sacrifice, patience, and selflessness. Lust demands none of these. A man or woman who mistakes lust for love never learns discipline, empathy, or true commitment. They miss the opportunity to rise above instinct and choice, to become someone capable of sustaining a deep, enduring bond. That missed growth is as heavy a price as heartbreak itself. And yet, the cost is not permanent for those who recognize the truth. Awareness is the key to breaking the cycle. Understanding that lust and love are not the same allows both men and women to make wiser choices. Boundaries, patience, and discernment become shields against deception. The wisdom to recognize desire without mistaking it for devotion prevents heartbreak and builds the foundation for lasting love. Remember this, lust is a test, but ignoring it can be a trap. Confusing desire with devotion costs not just emotion, but time, trust, and the opportunity for a meaningful life. Those who learn to see clearly will protect their hearts, safeguard their futures, and create relationships that are not fleeting sparks, but enduring flames. The price of ignoring this truth is high, but the reward of understanding it is priceless. The greatest power a woman has is the wisdom to see clearly, or to recognize the difference between a man driven by lust and a man capable of love is to protect her heart and her future. Many women are taught to trust feelings, to follow charm, or to believe that passion equals commitment. But true wisdom says otherwise. Love is proven, not promised. Desire is instant, but devotion is earned. A woman must understand that a man's initial attraction is never enough to determine his character. Lust can be strong, persuasive, and convincing, but it fades without effort. It may whisper words of passion. It may make grand gestures, but until it is paired with patience, consistency, and respect, it is meaningless. Recognizing this early can save years of pain and disappointment. Boundaries are not punishment, they are protection. A woman who sets clear standards does not reject love, she tests it. She requires more than fleeting attention. She asks for patience, she demands integrity. And a man who respects those boundaries is showing his potential to love. A man who cannot respect them is revealing his incapacity to commit. Wisdom allows a woman to see this distinction before her heart is at stake. The world often glamorizes impulsive decisions, teaching women to follow their excitement, to trust intensity, and to equate desire with devotion. But the truth is stark. Those who move too fast often find themselves investing in illusions. Real love requires discernment. Real love requires observation. It requires watching how a man behaves when he is not being watched, how he treats others, and how he handles challenges. These signs are the true measure of devotion. Patience is power. Waiting is not weakness, it is strength. A woman who understands the rhythm of desire knows that men lust first, but love later. She allows the relationship to unfold naturally, giving time for a man's true intentions to appear. She does not settle for words alone. She watches for actions. She waits for consistency. She understands that time is the filter that separates impulse from commitment. Choosing wisely is more than protecting oneself. It is shaping the future. A woman's discernment influences not only the man she allows into her life, but also the foundation of the relationship itself. A man rises to meet the standard set before him. If he is given boundaries, he must decide whether to grow into love or retreat into lust. Her wisdom becomes the catalyst for transformation, turning desire into devotion when it is genuine. Trust is earned, not assumed. A woman who understands this does not mistake intensity for permanence. She does not hand over her heart to a man who cannot yet prove his capacity for love. She observes, she tests, she waits, and in doing so, she preserves her self-respect and ensures that when love arrives, it is built on truth, not illusion. Emotional intelligence is another pillar of wisdom. Recognizing the signs of shallow desire versus deep commitment requires clarity and self-awareness. A woman must see beyond charm and passion and look for patterns of behavior. She must notice whether a man is consistent in his words and actions, whether he respects her boundaries, and whether he invests time and effort into building a connection that transcends physical attraction. This wisdom is protective, transformative, and empowering. It prevents heartbreak, but it also allows for growth. It teaches a woman to choose a man who is capable of rising above lust and embracing love. It teaches her to see the difference between someone who is temporarily infatuated and someone who is ready to devote his life to building a lasting bond. Remember this truth: a man may lust first, but only a woman's wisdom can help him rise into love. By understanding desire for what it is and refusing to confuse it with devotion, a woman secures her future, strengthens her heart, and shapes the relationship into something meaningful. This knowledge is not just protective, it is liberating. It allows her to step into her relationships with clarity, confidence, and power. Lust is loud and urgent, but wisdom is quiet and strong. A woman who listens to her inner truth, observes behavior over words, and demands respect ensures that desire transforms into something eternal. Her patience and discernment do not delay love. They guarantee that when it comes, it is real, unwavering, and lasting. Men, listen closely. Desire is natural, instinctive, and powerful. It will pull at you without warning, urging you to act on impulse. But strength is not measured by how easily you give in. It is measured by how well you control yourself. Lust may appear first, but love is earned through patience, sacrifice, and discipline. Every man faces the same test. Will he remain a slave to instinct, or will he rise into devotion? This is a call to awaken your deeper nature, to recognize that the first spark of attraction is only the beginning of the journey. It is not proof of love. It is a signal, a starting point, not a destination. Real love demands more than what is immediately felt. It demands what is consistently chosen. And choosing love over desire is what separates a boy from a man. A man must learn to master his impulses. He must understand that true strength is not in taking what he wants, but in giving what is needed. Lust can consume quickly, leaving emptiness in its wake, but love builds slowly, intentionally, and without expectation of instant reward. The man who chooses love creates a bond that cannot be broken, a connection that lasts even when passion fades. Discipline is the foundation of devotion. A man who can control his desires is a man who can commit. He learns to respect boundaries, to honor the heart of the woman before him, and to act with integrity even when no one is watching. The path from lust to love is not easy. It requires sacrifice, restraint, and the willingness to place another's happiness above his own temporary satisfaction. But that is exactly what creates relationships worth having. Psychology shows that men are wired for instant gratification. The mind is drawn to pleasure and avoidance of discomfort. Yet the strongest men are those who rise above this wiring. They delay immediate satisfaction for the greater reward of lasting connection. They understand that the heart is not a playground and that every choice carries weight. A man capable of love knows that fleeting desire is temporary, but devotion is eternal. This is more than advice. It is a responsibility. Every man who desires a meaningful relationship must recognize that lust is only the beginning. To transform desire into love, he must invest time, energy, and unwavering attention into understanding, supporting, and valuing his partner. Words alone are meaningless without consistent action. Promises mean nothing if not matched by behavior. Love is demonstrated in how he shows up day after day, not in how he expresses excitement in a single moment. Men must also recognize the power of respect. Respect is the language that communicates devotion. It is shown in patience, in listening, in honoring boundaries, and in putting effort into building trust. A man who respects his partner lays the groundwork for love that lasts. Without respect, desire becomes destructive. With respect, desire becomes transformative. Consider the consequences of failing this test. Men who confuse lust for love hurt themselves, hurt their partners, and leave a trail of disappointment in their wake. They invest in illusions and lose the opportunity to experience true connection. But men who rise above instinct create something lasting. They prove that passion can coexist with integrity, that desire can be a doorway to devotion, and that love can flourish when patience is chosen over impulse. This call is urgent because the world rewards the impatient. It celebrates instant attraction, superficial charm, and fleeting pleasure. But the man who seeks more than lust must walk a quieter, harder path. He must commit to self-control, to understanding, and to the deliberate building of trust. He must measure success not by conquest, but by his capacity to nurture love that endures. Remember this truth: men lust first because biology is powerful, but men love later because character is stronger. Every choice made in the presence of desire is an opportunity to rise. Every moment of patience, every act of consistency, every effort to honor and respect a partner is a step from mere attraction to devotion. The path is not easy, but the reward is priceless. A man capable of love is rare, not because desire is weak, but because self-mastery is rare. He knows that the body begins the story, but the heart and mind finish it. He knows that lust is not failure, it is the test, and he rises to that test, transforming impulse into intention, hunger into devotion, and desire into something eternal. True love is not born overnight. It is not the first spark that ignites in passion, nor the instant thrill that makes hearts race. True love is built slowly, deliberately, and intentionally. It is forged in patience, tested through time, and strengthened by choice. It begins with desire, but it flourishes only through discipline, respect, and devotion. The path to true love begins with understanding. Men must recognize the power of their impulses and learn to master them. Women must recognize the difference between attraction and devotion and exercise their wisdom in choosing carefully. Both must understand that the first feeling of desire is a starting point, not a guarantee. Awareness is the first step toward creating a connection that can endure the storms of life. Patience is the cornerstone. Lust demands immediacy, but love waits. The couple that builds true love allows time for discovery, growth, and understanding. They do not rush into decisions, and they do not mistake intensity for permanence. They observe actions over words, consistency over promises, and character over charm. In this patience, desire is transformed from a fleeting flame into a steady, enduring fire. Respect is the foundation. True love thrives only where respect exists. Respect for boundaries, respect for feelings, respect for individuality, and respect for commitment. A relationship without respect is like a house built on sand. It may appear solid for a while, but it will crumble under pressure. Respect ensures that attraction becomes admiration, passion becomes loyalty, and desire becomes devotion. Consistency is the bridge between lust and love. Desire may spark interest, but only consistent effort proves intention. A man who shows up when it is difficult, a woman who upholds her standards even when tempted to compromise, both demonstrate that love is not an emotion. It is a practice. True love requires repeated actions, each one reinforcing the bond and building trust that cannot be broken by circumstance. Sacrifice is the proof of devotion. Lust takes for itself, but love gives without hesitation. Those willing to put the needs of their partner above temporary comfort, to prioritize the relationship over impulse, to invest in the growth of both hearts, are those capable of creating true love. Sacrifice does not diminish joy. It deepens connection and strengthens the bond for a lifetime. Communication is the lifeline. Honest, open, and vulnerable dialogue allows both partners to move beyond assumptions and superficial attraction. Sharing fears, hopes, and intentions transforms desire into understanding. Listening actively and responding with empathy bridges the gap between lustful impulse and committed love. True love flourishes when both hearts feel seen, heard, and valued. The path to true love also requires courage. To wait, to set boundaries, to demand respect, to rise above impulse. These are not easy choices, They demand bravery, self-awareness, and the willingness to confront both personal weaknesses and the imperfections of a partner. But courage is what transforms fleeting attraction into a connection that endures. It allows both partners to rise above their instincts and build something real. Ultimately, true love is a combination of desire, choice, and character. Lust is the spark, wisdom is the guide, and discipline is the force that shapes the journey. Men must learn to rise above instinct. Women must learn to see clearly. Both must practice patience, respect, consistency, and sacrifice. When all these elements come together, desire is no longer temporary. It becomes eternal. Remember this truth: attraction is the invitation, but love is the destination. Lust may come first, but it is the choices, actions, and intentions that follow that determine whether a relationship survives or fades. Those who walk the path deliberately with awareness and integrity create a bond that not only lasts, but thrives. True love is not simple, but it is possible. It requires effort, discipline, and understanding, but it rewards with a connection deeper than desire alone can ever provide. It transforms passion into devotion, hunger into loyalty, and fleeting intensity into a lifetime of companionship. The path to true love is challenging, but those willing to walk it will experience the most profound fulfillment a human heart can know.